everybody, welcome back to another episode of Is It Worth the Grind? As stated in the previous episode, I did say that I was going to make the next video about the cursed dual katana, one of the most popular weapons in Blox fruits. Many of you might already have this sword, and might already know its perks and its downsides. Well, let's go ahead and just get right into the video. So, here we have the cursed dual katana. Lovely weapon, notoriously pretty difficult to get your hands on, not the hardest sword to get. So, you know, it's pretty easy. I mean, you go read the wiki and you can get it pretty quickly. A lot of people kind of overestimate the idea of getting it, and some people even pay to get the sword for assistance. It being a standard sword and being one of the, end game swords that you get when you are finally maxed level and after you've played for long enough, most people will go for it as just something to do with their spare time, or they just kind of feel like collecting all the swords, which that's fine. By this point of the game, you probably should have the capabilities and or the skill to be able to get your hands on the sword with relative ease and general, within a certain time frame. It took me only 2 days to get this sword, due to the hollow essence being the hardest part of getting it, and going from island to island to kill those guys for the one trial, which either way really is not that hard. Like, really, getting hollow essence, you could just go onto the Discord server and ask someone who has the hollow essence to spawn in the Reaper, let the Reaper kill you, and then you've pretty much essentially done the trial. Now, does this sword boast some pretty decent stats and alright, good damage? Now, most people don't use it for the sake of damage. My current build right now is actually not catered towards swords at the current moment in time, so my damage you will see in this video is a little bit lacking. I was doing a more oriented playstyle for, your fist and gun, just to kind of get used to soul guitar. Having fun with electric claw, just dicking around. So this sword is great. It's lovely at extending combos and causing stalls to wait for your cooldowns. Now, it's got two moves. It's got Revolving Ravager, which if you go close to the opponent, you'll spin in a circle like so, and you'll get them stuck in a tornado, which it'll then throw them away. I'm pretty sure this move does break instinct, in fact, and can be used to, again, wait for your cooldowns if you are using other, sources and moves and whatnot. And it also itself has a really low cooldown rate. It's pretty intimidating, as most people, want to avoid that move because of what it does to you. As you can see there, I did 750 damage, and I don't even have a single stat put into the sword. That's really, really solid damage for what it is. Plus, this move can also be used as a ranged move, as you can see there. Pretty solid damage, and it also breaks instinct, so both of those things really are really good for the sword, and it can also be used to extend combos and again stall for time so you can get your cooldowns back. It's got the second move, which is a bit more appealing to some people. It's the Slayer of the Goliath, a rushdown move used to cause pressure onto your opponent, but it can also be used to again extend combos and or stall for time. If you fully charge it up, as you see there, you'll do this. It'll keep them in place and do an explosion, so it'll hit twice and deal about 4,000, I think about 7,000 damage if you max out the sword. This isn't really used for combos as much as it is used for mobility's sake. If you don't charge it up and just tap it, it doesn't go as far as if you did charge it up. So you can use it to run away from somebody by looking straight up and holding X, and to get away from people. It's really nice, if you want to run away or, again, stall for time so you can get back your cooldowns. This one has a little bit longer of a cooldown and isn't necessarily as fast as other swords per se, but it definitely does its work as a sword. Now, as you can see, this sword doesn't really have much going for it apart from its ability to stall and both of the moves breaking instinct. That's really good. The fact that it breaks instinct means that if you are a sword user, you should get these swords. Definitely they're the best swords in the I believe they are currently the best swords in the game. But that does not mean that they're always worth your time. Now, remember, this requires you to play through the entire game to get your hands on them, so you won't be able to get them at an early stage, so by the time you get to this, you should just go for them. Now, let's say hypothetically you're mid-game and you don't really necessarily know if you want to waste your time going for those swords or not. Well, a good substitute to them would be the Midnight Blade. A really easy sword to get, requires you to just get some ectoplasm and go to the cursed ship and spend, I think it's 250 ectoplasm, and you get this wonderful sword. As you can see, I've maxed it out. It is one of my personal favorite swords as it combos well with pretty much anything, and fun fact about this sword, you can use it during sea events. It can hit ships, it can also hit Leviathans. So if you want to use it for the Leviathan raid, I really do recommend it, and it does some pretty solid damage. This sword is usually underlooked by most players, and no one really uses it all that much. While even though that might be true, both of the moves are incredibly scary and some of the most devastating moves in the game. Simple combos can be, done with this sword, and it's really intimidating. It's the only downside I honestly gotta say about the Midnight Blade is that it has some long cooldowns, and it's not always the best option since some of the moves can be hard to hit. But the thing is that both of the moves combo into each other. After you use one, you can instantly use the second, and you'll pretty much almost always land the second one, as you can see right there. Now, this can be really easy or really nice for people who are a bit more casual with the game and don't really feel like tryharding in their PvP. But this can also be used to set up some one-shot combos on players. Yes, the Cursed Dual Katana can do a very similar thing, but is significantly more difficult and much more precise for the player to set up, because it requires you to aim significantly more, and you can't just press both of the buttons in quick succession to make it work. Pretty standard stuff, average damage and decent mobility options for the sword users at hand. Honestly, this can be one of, if not the strongest sword in the right hands, but you don't need it to be good. Comparing it to the Midnight Blade, honestly, it doesn't seem so special anymore when you consider it. As you can see there, you can combo into both of them pretty easily, so it's not the worst thing in the world for comboing, but the Midnight Blade definitely makes it a little bit easier. And the reason why I'm comparing it to the Midnight Blade is because Midnight Blade, as of right now, is one of the best swords in the game. Honestly, it can be considered second or even third or even second best, shortly behind or a little bit above TTK, true TTK, if you want to really weigh it over those, because most people will either use Cursed Dual Katana, True Triple Katana, or Midnight Blade, and you'll even see people use, obviously, Dragon Trident, which is currently the most used weapon in the game. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of Dragon Trident. Its X move is pretty strong. One of my friends do use this sword pretty religiously. One of my friends do use Dragon Trident pretty religiously and all the time, and he notes that it is pretty decent for what it is, but it's not the devil's lettuce, it's not the bee's knees when it comes to combos, but it can be used to break instinct pretty easily, and if your opponent is playing like a coward and running away, it can be pretty good at delaying them and or wasting their time or getting some cheeky hits in. Both of the moves on Dragon Trident do break instinct, so definitely really nice. Now again, the one thing that Cursed Dual Katana has over the Midnight Blade is really good mobility and the fact that both of the moves break instinct. Just for the instinct breaking alone makes this sword pretty solid and really good. I don't think TTK can break instinct. I think one of the moves, on TTK break instinct. I think the other one doesn't. But yeah, guys, this one's going to be a little bit more of a shorter video because I don't have as much to say as I did with God Human. This sword is pretty easy to get, and honestly, guys, yes, I would say that this is worth the grind. Pretty standard stuff, really easy to get your hands on. Usually it's worth it, and why not get it? It's just another part of your collection and really just another thing to do while playing the game. It doesn't take as much time to get as God Human does, and really doesn't require as much effort and hours and days spent to get. Really standard stuff. You get Yama, you get Tushita, both really easy to get your hands on, not very difficult at all. And you can, honestly, if you're like level 2300 or level 200, or, if you're at the right level to get the swords, you might as well just go for it. You can get it, honestly, pretty much within the week. So, yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching, and as always, if you hated this video, please leave a dislike, and comment down below what I can do better, because I appreciate all criticisms, and I do read every single comment. I might not respond to them all, but I do read them, and I do appreciate them. And yeah, I don't really know what the next video is going to be on. I might do it on Soul Guitar. Let me know if you guys want something else to be done, or if you guys want me to do more of these. If you have any suggestions for what I should do another Worth the Grind on, please let me know. I'll probably do it. I'll most likely respond to your comment. and tell you, you know, I'll do it or I won't do it. I also play other games, so if there's any other games you want me to grind out and make a video on those, you know, items in those games, let me know. You know, I take suggestions for anything. But anyways, guys, yeah, that's about it. See ya.